The information provided in this episode is provided for general informational purposes only and may not reflect the current law in your state or country. By watching and listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as legal advice and no attorney-client relationship between you, the host, or guest. You are advised to seek legal counsel concerning your legal question or concern from a lawyer licensed in your state, country, or appropriate licensing jurisdiction.
Kumusta, Texas and all the other 50 states of the United States? Ganun din, syempre pa sa Philippines, sa Canada, Australia, at sa iba pang bahagi ng mundo kung saan mayroong Filipino. Ayan, samahan niyo ako dito sa isa na namang Usapang Off the Records. Off the record muna tayo ngayon sa ating pag-uusapan dito sa show. I am your host, Aileen 𝘞𝘠𝘍. I'm an attorney licensed here in the state of Texas and in the Philippines, and I am the managing partner of the 𝘠𝘠𝘮 law firm that is based here in Houston, Texas. At mapapanood at mapapakinggan nyo kami dito sa Usapang Off the Record every Friday at 9 p.m. Central Time, at yan naman ay 10 a.m. Saturday in the Philippines. Yan. And we are live stream by via sa Facebook page and YouTube channel ng Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy. Kaya naman if you haven't subscribed or like or follow, ay kailangan nyo nang ipindutin yung mga buttons na yan so that you will be notified if there is an upcoming show or live show ng Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy. Kami rin ay mapapakinggan ninyo sa Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Listen Notes. If you missed the live show, you can, if you're doing something, I know we always multitask. Kasi naman talaga, there's a lot of things that we wanted to do in life, and we only have two hands, right? So we multitask a lot. So while you're doing your task, your work, your chores, you can listen to us. You can listen to our recorded live show. And if you want to sit down, relax, and watch the show, you can also watch the recorded live shows sa YouTube channel ng Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy at ng Facebook page ng Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy then, of course. And if you are joining us here as a live show, you will have the opportunity, of course, to ask questions, post your shout outs and greetings to your friends and family, and we will read them. I will read them throughout the show. And of course, if you have questions, I will try to address those questions during the show. So make sure you post those questions while we are still on live, okay? Alright, so sa mga taga-Pusurobyo dyan, kamusta kila namin? Kamusta lasiren? Siguradong masarap. So, panangan, ditan. And of course, sa mga kaibigan nating ng mga Ilocano na imbaga bigat, sa mga taga, Ilocos, yan, Baguio City, yan, mga taga Baguio, of course. Baguio is like my second hometown in the Philippines. I stayed there and studied it for a long time. So, malapit sa puso ko ang Baguio City. Marami rin ako mga naging kaibigan dyan. And alam nyo ba, na itong darating na October 2022, magkakaroon ng friendship signing ang Baguio City and San Antonio. And I will be there. I will be a witness to that signing ceremony. So I believe the city mayor, the Baguio City mayor will be in San Antonio, Texas. And of course, the mayor of San Antonio will be signing that friendship decree. So that they call it Friendship City signing. That'll be on October 21st. If you are in the area, join us. And of course, yan ang agad nating invitation. But I also wanted to say hi at batiin ng mga taga Bicol naman. Just marhay na aldaw sa inyong gabos. Yan natutunan ko sa aking mom na taga Bicol. Magandang araw sa inyong Lahat. Okay, so ang daming bati 'no, gusto ko nga of course, binabati ko siyempre lahat, saan man kayo naroroon, magandang umaga, magandang tanghali at magandang gabi at, welcome kayong lahat dito sa Usapang Off the Record. Ayan. And of course, for today's episode, pag-uusapan natin ang probate. Pero since simulan natin ang usapan natin last Friday about inheritance or, when you inherit, when somebody pass away without a will, natutunan natin or we were able to discuss during the show kung paano i-distribute ang mga ang estate ng taong namayapa na walang will, alright, walang last will and testament. Yun naman, pag-uusapan natin, paano nga ba, ano ngang gagawin? So, pagka namatay ang isang tao, napag-usapan natin kanino mapupunta at ilang porsyento or share ang mapupunta sa mga heirs. Ngayon naman, pag-usapan natin yung, so ano ang gagawin? Okay? Ano naman ang gagawin pagka, let's say, namatay na nga yung tao and wala siyang will? So, what are we gonna do now? So this is the time we discuss about that, okay? So join us, stay tuned, and assure you will learn something. But of course, please remember that probate is a state law. So what I'm discussing right now is, of course, the how probate is being done here in the state of Texas, because that's what I do here. I'm a probate attorney, so I probate estate of people who passed away with properties here in Texas. And also, mayroon din tayong ano dyan, part of our job or work is being done in the Philippines kapag the person who passed away has properties in the Philippines. Like mga Filipino Americans, sa mga kaibigan natin or mga clients natin nandito, they pass away, they have properties in the Philippines, so we settle it here and we also help them settle the properties in the Philippines. So, kaya napaka-importante ng mga information na i-share ko sa inyo ngayon. And so, simulan na natin ang ating discussion. Sa mga naririto sa live show, maraming salamat you're joining me and I really wanted to greet some people already. So, si Emily got my cousin, she is watching from Cavite. Ayan, kumusta na mga taga Cavite diyan, ang matatapang na mga Caviteño. Yeah, Caviteña, 'di ba? And of course, syempre pa, my mom, bumabati siya ng blessed evening. Ayan. So, bumati ako sa Bicol. All right. So, you're learning, I'm learning. This is good, right? Because we all are learning something new every day. And of course, alam nyo, ito lang masabi ko, being an educator as well, it, this day will only pass once, so make the most out of it. Katulad naman sinasabi ko sa mga estudyante ko, try to learn something new every day. Kahit ano pa yan. Yung how to copy paste, that's something new, right? Kung something new yan sa'yo, you learn it, you've learned something new each day. So, make it a habit. So, pagpatulog ka na kayo, sabihin nyo sa sarili nyo or ask yourself, what did I learn today? Did I make use of this day wisely or did I waste this day? So, of course, you don't want to waste it. So, try to do something good each day. Kaya nga lagi ko sinasabi, each day counts. Okay? All right. So, if you want to post your shout out, just do it and I will try to read them throughout the show. Okay? All right. So, ayan. So, balikan na natin yung ating topic for today, no? Today, I will be sharing with you some slides. Okay, so it will be our guide throughout our discussion here on the show. So let's begin the discussion para wala tayong masayang na sandali because every day, every second, every hour counts, diba? Okay, so what do you do when your family member passed away without a will? Alam nyo, when somebody passed away, it's already a lot to take in. I mean, it's already there. The person involved or the family members, they're already going through emotional challenges. Of course, we are very much affected when somebody whom we love or a family member passed away. The thought of it alone is already difficult. To deal with the emotions, it's even more challenging. And I remember this when when my tatay passed away. It was very challenging for me. And then I also remember that time, aside from nagigrieve na nga ako and my family, I still have to help with the settlement ng everything, including yung um, mga expenses, funeral, yung mga issues related sa when a person pass away, and it's very hard. Sometimes yung iba, yung mga clients ko, they don't have time to grieve during the time that they're processing, they're trying to settle the estate. Hindi nila, they don't have time. And I remember one of my clients who, na namatay yung kanyang kapatid, and she has to travel here sa Texas to settle the estate ng kanyang kapatid. Um, after we finished all the process, we finished the probate. I talked to her and I asked her, "How are you doing now?" And she just cried on the phone. And sabi niya, "Attorney, um, during the time talaga, I never had a chance to grieve. And ngayon pa lang talaga nagsisingin sa'kin, so it's very difficult for me." Kasi that time when we were probating her estate, I was very focused on what to do, what are the, collecting the documents, selling the estate, selling the house, and liquidating the assets and distributing it to the heirs. So wala siyang panahon, and then after na matapos na lahat, saka pa lang siya napagmuni-muni at dun pa lang nagsimula talaga ang kanyang, grief, yung kanyang pagluluksa dahil nawala ang kanyang kapatid. So it's really it's always not easy, when, a death of a loved one is involved. So now the question is, of course, it doesn't when somebody pass away, meron kang gagawin after that, especially if that person who passed away has properties or mga debts na naiwan. You have to settle the estate. Yun ang tawag doon, you settle the estate. So for this question, ang tanong na, what do you do when your family member passed away without a will? Of course, you have to look for the will muna. Siguraduhin mong walang will yung natao. Now, how do you know this? If you are the surviving spouse, when we say surviving spouse, yung naiwan na spouse, okay? So you are the one still alive. Um, you might have an idea, or you might know, or at least might have an idea if your spouse has a will. Because sometimes it's something na pinag-uusapan ng mag-asawa. Pero kung walang asawa, sino naman kaya ang puwede nating tanungin kung may will kaya siya o wala? O yung mga immediate, family members, relatives, 'yan, mga magulang or mga kaibigan, tinatanong natin 'yan, "Do you think, meron siyang will? Have he ever, mentioned creating a will or making a will?" Mga gano'n. And then we also look for, safety deposit, box, yung mga ganyan. If they have one, if it's at home, then we try to open that. If we find the keys or however we want to open that, because sometimes the document is there, or the important documents are there, so you'll know if there's a will or not. And why is it important for us to know if there's a will or not? Because so that we know, so that you know how to proceed with the settlement of the estate of that person. Minsan naman, if mayroong safety deposit sa bank yung namatay, we ask the court to issue an order allowing us to open the safety deposit, kasi hindi basta-basta bubuksan ng bank yan. So we still have to apply for a court order in that matter so we can open it. So I remember doing it in one instance, and we were there. We're actually, kailangan may mga witnesses ako na, witnessing the opening of the safety deposit to make sure na nandoon yung will o wala yung will, o ano yung mga documents na nandoon. So there's a process to do when somebody passed away. Now, apart from that, let's say that you're able to determine there is no will. So now what do you do next? you need to know what are the assets of the person who passed away. Ano-ano yung mga ari-arian ng mga tao na naiwan. Meron ba siyang bahay? Meron ba siyang sasakyan? Meron ba siyang business? Meron ba siyang bank accounts, investments, shares of stocks, mga ganyan. So you need to, whoever is the person in the families, who will take charge. Kailangan niyang gawin yon. So you will do an inventory of the estate of the person who passed away. Okay? And then of course that includes gathering documents. So pag yung tao, the person who passed away is very organized, well, it will be an easier job. But if the person who passed away is very disorganized, yun ang challenge doon, hanapin yung mga documents na yon. So it's always better for you to have a estate plan in place. You have a binder where you put all your documents para mas madaling trabaho ng whoever is gonna manage your estate when you passed away. Okay, so that's one thing. I mean, two things, diba? Una, hanapin mo kung there's a will, and then after that, alamin mo kung ano yung mga estate niya. Ano yung nasa estate ng tayo, mga properties nung namatay. And then after that, okay, kailangan mo rin ngayon alamin kung sino-sino yung mga legal heirs nung tao na namatay. So if the person passed away as a single, of course, ang mga legal heirs niyan, yung magulang, mga kapatid, pamangkin, or if may mga anak siya, yun yung mga hanapin mo. You have to get their names because you will need their signatures later on when you start the probate process. So yun yung mga task mo. Now, if the person who passed away is married, of course, tignan mo yung surviving spouse, at saka if they have children or grandchildren, yan. So yun yung mga next of kin, yung mga legal heirs. Kailangan mo malaman yan. And then of course, by the way, when it comes to the estate, you're not just looking only sa estate niya dito sa Texas kung dito siya nakabase, You'll also need to know kung may mga properties siya outside the state or outside the country. Kasi kung let's say for example, the person who passed away is a Texan, dito siya sa Texas, may mga properties siya dito sa Texas, pero meron din siya mga properties sa Florida, sa California, sa New Jersey, sa iba't ibang mga states, then iba't ibang process yun dahil remember, probate is a state law, so iba-iba yung proseso sa bawat state. You have to deal with the probate of the property in Florida. You have to deal with the probate of the property in California, and pwedeng iba-iba yung process diyan. And that's why it's important for you to consult an attorney licensed to practice in that state, okay, to help you. All right, so yan ang gagawin mo if a member of your family passed away without a will. Yun ang unang-unang mong mga gagawin. Very important yan. All right, so that's just the first part ng pag-usapan natin ngayon. Yung susunod na part, we'll talk about it when we come back. We'll just pause for a very short break, so stick around. I'll see you in a bit.
Hello to everyone from Roof Chamber Radio. I'm encouraging all of you to stay here, stay in this chamber. If you want to be inspired, you want to be encouraged, this is where it's at. And we're all going to need this, especially, in this new year that we're in. We don't know what's up for tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen next week or next month. But I believe that when you gather with people who believe in the power, the faithfulness, and the goodness of the Lord Jesus Christ, there is power in that in itself. So stay here. Stay in the Roof Chamber Radio. Be inspired, be encouraged, and let's all go through life, not on our own, and more than just with each other, but let's speak the faith, let's share the faith, let's live by faith, and let's walk by faith. God bless you all, everyone from Roof Chamber Radio.
And we're back rin tayo sa Usapang Off the Record. At ang pinag-usapan natin ngayon ay probate of an estate when a person pass away without a will. Ano ang gagawin ninyo? Yan. Okay? So before we continue, I just want to greet Rochelle Ligot II. Bumabati rin siya. Good morning, sis. Pa-shout out. Puzorobio, Pangasinan. I already did at the beginning of my greetings, diba? Kumusta la, Puzorobio? I'll see you very soon. Ayan, may ano pa tayo dyan, diba? Cryptic announcement. Anyway, so pag-usapan, ituloy na natin yung usapan natin kasi marami tayong pwedeng mapag-usapan ngayon. And like I said, probate is a state law. So remember to always consult an attorney that is who is licensed to practice law in your state or in your jurisdiction, and also if you are in the Philippines as well. Okay, because in the Philippines, of course, the Philippine law will govern the disposition of the estate of a person who passed away without a will. Yan. So, kanina pinag-usapan natin kung ano yung mga gagawin. If somebody passed away without a will, ano ang gagawin ng mga mahal sa buhay? Okay? So, let's just, uh, uh, make a very short summary. So you need to know whether there's a will. Kailangan hanapin nyo yun if there is any. If there is none, you need to know the estate of the person. So you have to make an inventory of all the properties of the person who passed away. And when you do your inventory, if you're here in the United States, you need also to look at the other states. Baka meron siyang properties doon or outside the country. Okay. And then, of course, you have to know who are the legal heirs, the heirs of the person who passed away. Because when you do your probate, when you start the process, you will need the heirs. Okay. And we will talk more about that pagdating natin doon sa topic na iyon. Okay. All right. So now we've finished that one. Let's go to the next part of our discussion for today. Here's the next question that I'd like to ask. What does it mean to probate an estate? Yan naman ang susunod nating tanong na pag-uusapan, ano? What does it mean to probate an estate? We've been talking about probate, probating the will, probating the estate. Ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin ng probate? Well, when you say probate, it's actually a legal process. So it's a process in which the court is involved, okay? Because why is the court involved? Because the court, you'll have to have the court legally recognize the death of a person and also to oversee the distribution or the management of the estate of the person who passed away. For example, payment of debts, yan, liquidation of assets and distribution of the estate to the heirs. Kaya nga importante rin na malaman kung sino ang mga heirs kasi sila yung mga tatanggap ng estate ng taong namatay. So that is probate. It's a legal process that involves the court because the court will have to recognize the death of a person, course, and make sure that the asset or the estate of the person who passed away will be managed by the administrator. And we will talk more about that. Speaking of administrator, nakikita nyo dyan sa screen nyo, administration. Kasi sa probate, after ka pumunta sa court, so you go to the court and ask the court to recognize the death of the person and that this person left property or estate here in the state of Texas or wherever, whichever state or whichever country. Pagka nagpa-probate kayo doon sa mga lugar na yon, you'll have to declare that to the court. And because there are assets left, or kung mayroon mang mga utang pa yung namatay, let's say for example, yung funeral expenses or medical bills, yan, or loans, yung mga mortgages yan, then somebody needs to take care of those, right? Somebody needs to manage the estate of the person who passed away. And that is why we have this thing called administration. Ang tawag doon ay administration. So you go to court and ask the court, this the estate of this person needs to be managed, so we need to have an administrator. Okay? And there are two types, basic types of administration in Texas, which means also two types of administrator. We have dependent administration and independent administration. Ang pagkakaiba lang of course niyan, basic difference ng dalawang yan is when you say dependent, yung administrator na i-appoint ng court to manage the estate of the deceased person will have to from the word dependent, will have to ask the court for permission or ask the court order, kailangan ganyan. Hindi siya pwedeng, cannot make a decision without the approval of the court or without a court order. So let's say, for example, there is a property of the person who passed away. Let's say, meron siyang bahay, and then yung bahay na yon ay naka-mortgage pa, no? Hindi pa siya fully paid. So, kailangang bayaran yung mortgage niyan para hindi um, ma-overdue siya, and then baka magkaroon pa ng foreclosure later on pag hindi nakabayad. So, it has to be managed. Ngayon, let's say for example, gusto na niyang ibenta yung property. Hindi niya basta-basta pwedeng ibenta yon without approval or consent of the court, because kasi nga dependent administrator siya, under a dependent administration. So as much as possible, if we are the one if I'm the one probating this, I always go for independent administration if possible. Kasi syempre, if it's a dependent administration, mas magastos, mas matagal, hindi ka basta-basta makakagawa ng decision. You cannot just act on the property, sell the property or distribute a property, hindi basta-basta without court order. In contrast naman yan sa independent administration. Sa independent naman, ikaw nang bahala. You don't even have to ask permission from the court. Most of the decisions, you can do it on your own as the administrator of the estate of the persons. If you want to sell the property, you can do that without a court order because you are an independent administrator under an independent administration of the estate. And that is why we go for independent administration. Yun naman pala you will ask, yun naman pala mas maganda yung independent administration. Bakit pa merong dependent administration? Bakit hindi lang yung tanggalin? Kasi magastos yan, matagal pa, mahirap makakuha mahirap kumilos kasi laging kailangan may approval ng court. Bakit meron pang dependent kung pwede naman tayong mamili ng independent? Sometimes, hindi uubra ang independent depending on the situation. Okay, and I think I can already start talking about that. Kasi like for example, may mga situation na kailangan mo i-comply in order for you to be eligible for an independent administration. Like for example, kailangan ng approval or consent ng lahat ng mga heirs nung namatay. So kung may nawawalang heir, mahirap makuha ang independent kasi sinong pipirma, 'di ba? Kung sinong magbibigay ng consent, hahanapin mo pa yung heir na 'yon. Kailangan ng magbayad ng utang, kailangan ng magbayad ng mortgage, ng loan. So kailangan na i-manage yung estate. Hindi mo nahahanap lahat ng heirs. So that's why there's a dependent administration. Sometimes you can ask for a temporary one. And then later on, if you can find all the heirs and all the heirs agree to an independent administration at lahat sila ay pipirma, then you can ask the court to approve or appoint you as an independent administrator of the estate of the deceased person. Ganun yon. Okay? So, kaya importante na malaman ninyo yung difference ng yung dalawang klase ng administration na yon kasi it matters as to expenses, yung costs, at saka yung time and effort, yung bulk of work. You just imagine every time, if it's a dependent administration, imagine every time that you will make a decision, you'll have to ask the court, magpapaalam ka. Parang if you are a minor, before you can do anything, you have to ask permission from your parents, ganon. And sometimes your parents will not say yes, right? It's not always going to be a yes. That same goes with the court system. Hindi ibig sabihin, pag may hiningi ka sa court, papagan court, the court will look into it first and see, okay, sige, ito ba ay will it be good for the administration? Will it be beneficial for the beneficiaries? Then it might approve it, or kaya nga it depends. So hindi laging meron kang not all the time that you ask the court a consent and the court will give you a permission or approval. No, it depends. So kaya nga mas maganda talaga ang independent administration. And so So that's what how that is probate. So when you say probate, it's a process, and you have to not just go to the court and have the person be declared or recognized as person who passed away. Legally recognize the death of the person, but also asking the court to appoint an independent, either independent administrator or dependent administrator to manage the estate of the deceased person. So hindi lang kaya merong talagang gagawin if the person passed away. So yun ang ano doon ang magandang natutunan when it comes to probate when a person pass away without a will. Kasi minsan sinasabi ng iba, 'di ba yung probate pag may will lang? Not necessarily. Kasi probate is a legal process that you go to court and have the person be recognized yung death niya and then manage the asset of that person who passed away. Now, pag my will, then you go to the court and bring the will and have it recognized and all that. So, and we will have a separate um episode for that. So abangan ninyo. It might be the next episode already. So just watch out. Kaya nga mag-subscribe na kayo, follow and like the Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy Facebook page and YouTube channel so you will be notified if we have of our upcoming live shows and susunod ng mga episodes din ng Usapang Off the Record. All right, so bago natin ituloy ang ating discussion about probate, this time naman pag-uusapan natin yung process sa court. Ano ba yung gagawin mo na talaga? Ano ba yung mangyayari pagka nag-probate ka na nag-probate ka na sa court? So yun ang ating sasagutin when we come back after a short break. So just hang in there, stick with me, and I'll see you in few minutes or seconds. All right, see ya.
Hello, everyone. My name is 𝘧𝘢𝘮𝘕, and I am the membership co-chair of the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Texas Greater Houston Region. Please watch the Beast Talk every second and fourth of the month via Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy Facebook page and YouTube channel. See you all at TBT na!
See you all at TBT na! Yes, TBT is a Beast Talk that is actually a project of the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce Greater Houston Region, which I am the chair. So I'm very proud of the chamber, our chamber, and our board of directors. We have a lot of projects installed for our community here. So anyway, I will talk some of them later on. All right, so balikan na natin yung discussion natin about probate of the estate of a person who passed away without a will. Ngayon, sinasabi natin, di ba, sa estate planning, we always say, you have to have a will. You have to have an estate plan in place. Kasi kung wala, mas magastos ang settlement ng estate mo. At dito mo malalaman na totoo nga, pwedeng maging mas magastos ang settlement ng estate mo kapag wala kang will. Because when you go to probate, to the probate court, when you start the probate process, you will know that there are more steps to do, more paperwork to be done, and more pleadings to be filed in court. Kaya ang mas maganda, ay magkaroon ka ng valid na will. So when you pass away, the will have to be probated, and then the court will appoint your executor, and your executor will manage the estate. But when a person pass away without a will, kailangan mo pa ng declaration of heirship kasi kailangan hanapin natin kung sino yung mga heirs na yan. So let me go to the third slide that I have here. So how do you start? The question is, how do you start a probate process? Let me give you an overview of the probate process here in the state of Texas. So when you look at the slide, you'll see there the two things at the bottom. It says small estate and big estate. Okay, meron ba tayong in between? Not really. So it's either your estate is small estate or big estate. Now, in order to know if your estate is small, um, it actually is important to know if it's small estate because there are other probate process na tinatawag nating simple lang than the full probate process. Okay, so usually if your estate is small, you can do a small small, simple probate. Okay. Now, when we say small estate, we're talking about an estate that has a value of less than $75,000. So, ang gagawin mo, kaya pag may mga nagka-consult yan na, attorney, uh, kailangan ko ba talaga ng probate? Kasi maliit lang naman yung property ng naiwan ng husband ko eh. Ganon. So, kailangan pa ba ng probate yun? So, syempre, yung tatanong ko, well, gaano kaliit yung asset, yung estate, 'di ba? Kasi like I said, if it's less than $75,000, then we can do a simple probate for that matter. But if it's more than that, then we might need to do the full probate process. Okay? So when we say simple probate, we will just execute a small estate affidavit, and then we use that small estate affidavit to transfer ownership of the real property from the person who passed away to the heirs. But in order for you to do that, you'll have to do an inventory of all the assets of the person who passed away, and then i-add mo lahat yon. And then ito-total mo, kailangan hindi lalagpas ng $75,000 at kailangan wala ring naiiwang utang. Kasi kung may maiiwang utang, then you will need an administration. Kailangan i-manage yung utang na yon, kailangan bayaran. Kung may mga loans, yan kailangan bayaran. So kailangan ng tao na magma-manage. So pagka ganon, kahit na small estate pa yung property mo, kahit na less than $75,000, 'pag may mga utang na kailangang bayaran, may kailangang i-manage yung estate, you still have to ask the court to appoint an administrator. So, it's either independent or dependent administrator 'yan. So, papasok ka pa rin dun sa probate process na yon. But, if it's just less than $75,000 at walang utang, walang kailangang i-manage, um, then you can just do a small estate affidavit. But in order for you to do the small estate affidavit, you will need to find all the heirs because you will need a signature of all the heirs on that small estate affidavit. Now, may nagtanong sa isa sa mga consultation may nagtanong, attorney, yung $75,000 ba kasama dun yung computation ng value ng bahay? Well, good news is hindi. Okay? You will not include the value of the real property yung bahay, because yung bahay, let's say yun yung bahay na ginamit na tirahan, so it's a homestead. So it will not be included in the computation or calculation of the total estate. So, kung meron lang siyang let's say for example, may pera siya sa bangko na 30,000, okay? And then meron siyang sasakyan, let's say yung value ng sasakyan niya ay 5,000. And then meron siya of course, mga personal belongings niya. So, total mo yon. Kapagka hindi ka lumagpas, pagka less than $75,000 yan, then you can do the small estate affidavit. Okay, pero pag lumagpas ka dyan, of course, you can't do that. You can't do the small estate affidavit. All right, so pag sinabi mo namang big estate, so it could be more than 75,000, di ba? Big estate yon. Pero pagka sobrang laki, you'll have to think about paying of estate tax. Walang estate tax here sa Texas, but there is a federal estate tax which is 40% lang naman, no? But sa ngayon, ang exemption diyan, ang exemption natin diyan, or the ceiling amount, I believe it's 12.5 na ba or 11 point something million. I haven't checked the last the value kasi every year nagbabago yan eh. So ibig sabihin, if you don't have let's say more than 11 million, then you don't even have to think about the estate tax of 40% because hindi mag-apply yon. Okay? So well, usually that's part of the estate planning, but during the probate, ito na, when you start probate, when the person passed away without a will, dalawang action agad yan, dalawang pleading. Sometimes pinag-iisa ko na, pero you have to do determination of heirship. That's one. And then the appointment of either dependent or independent administration, and issuance of the letters administration. Okay. Uh, yes, because you will need to ask the court to appoint an administrator. So dalawa yan. Una muna, you have to determine who are the heirs. So that's why you have a petition called, an application called an application to determine the heirs of the deceased person. At bakit? Because you need to to declare who are the heirs. Kasi siyempre sila yung tatanggap ng mga ng estate ng taong no, namatay, 'di ba? So you need to find the heirs. Now, sometimes simple lang yung makeup ng family. Let's say yung namatay may asawa at saka dalawang anak. Walang previous marriages, walang children out of the marriage. So ang kanyang mga legal heirs lang ay yung kanyang surviving spouse at saka yung dalawang anak niya. Nagiging complicated and challenging 'yan kapagka may mga previous marriages. Tapos hanapin mo sana yung mga anak niya kasi yung mga anak niya ay mga ano 'yan, mga heirs niya. Okay? Hahanapin mo nasaan sila. And then of course, sometimes you don't know, 'di ba? You don't know kung talagang yun lang yung mga heirs. So that's why it's a process that part of the process is to apply for an appointment, for an attorney ad litem. So the court will appoint an attorney ad litem to represent the unknown heirs or the missing heirs. Yeah. So then there'll be another attorney who will be working with you, in the process. Kasi ang trabaho naman ng attorney ad litem na yon is to find all the heirs and to make sure na sila lang yung heir. So the attorney will have to do his or her own investigation, will interview relatives, will look into the Facebook account, will look into what he or she can find online about the life of the person who passed away in order to determine who are the heirs. So maraming trabaho, 'di ba? So and then thing is that the yung attorney's fee nung attorney ad litem may have to be paid by the administrator or whoever is applying to be an administrator of the estate of the deceased person. So that's just one part of it. And then the other part is you have to file an application to appoint you or whoever family member who want to take charge of the probate. Usually kapag may naiwan na spouse, usually yung spouse yung nag-a-apply ng as an administrator of the estate. Sometimes naman yung anak, 'di ba? Yung mga heirs sila. Siyempre sila yung may interest to settle the estate, 'di ba? So mag-a-apply sila ng magfa-file sila ng application to for the court to appoint an independent, or it depends, dependent or independent administrator and issuance of letter administration. So yun yung another process. And then there's a probate hearing pa. So you'll have to during the pandemic we did a lot of Zoom hearing, but now we're starting, we actually, a lot of the process are done in court na. So then you'll have to go to the court and attend the probate hearing for that matter, for the two application, yung sa determination of heirship and yung sa appointment of an administrator. Yan. So and then pagka natapos na yon, let's say natapos na yung hearing ninyo, meron ng court order, hindi pa natatapos doon kasi yung na-appoint na administrator will have to start doing the work. Okay, so ang gagawin niya, we'll have to do an inventory of the properties of the person who passed away. So you're able to determine who are the heirs. And now you should determine what are the properties. And then kung may mga utang kailangan bayaran, kung may mga loan or anything that is related sa estate ng namatay, then you'll have to do it. You have to manage it. That's why you are the administrator. And then pagka lahat na nabayaran, yung yung remaining the properties or assets will have to be divided among the heirs. And remember, our discussion last episode na hindi naman pare-pareho, hindi equal sharing yan lagi. It depends on who is the heir, what is the relationship of that heir doon sa namatay. Okay, so that's why it's important if you are going to be an administrator, you have to consult an attorney kasi you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. Okay, and then there's more to that. You have to take an oath. Then you have to notify the creditors. And then you have to submit an inventory of the estate sa court and all that. So it is not really complicated if you have proper guidance from an attorney who is practicing that aspect of the law, who is a probate attorney, definitely will be able to make your job easier because will guide you as to how you're supposed to, what are the things that you need to do in order to start the probate and then manage the property after the court has appointed you as the administrator of the estate of the deceased person. So, yun ang mahalaga doon. Okay? So, really, there's a lot of information that I shared with you today. And I know that it might be a lot to take right now. The good thing about this is that you can always go back and watch the show again, yung recorded live show, or you can listen to it through yung mga podcast natin. And so while you're doing it, you can just rewatch it until you found the answer to your question that is related. Now if it's not there, I mean, you have a question that has not been addressed because there's more to it. Okay, I'm just giving you like the overview of the probate process when it comes to settling the estate of a deceased person who passed away without a will. So, okay, so we have discussed today what to do, what would you do, or what should you do when a person pass away without a will. And if you are the relatives, you are the next of kin, you definitely would want to know what to do. And of course, katulad nga nung nabanggit ko kanina, you need to find out whether there's a will or there's no will. You need to find who are the heirs. You need to know how big or what are the assets of the person who passed away, so that you can do an inventory of the estate of the deceased person. And then you have to do the probate process, and then you have to file your application and finish the probate process in order for you to be appointed as the administrator of the deceased person's estate. And then of course the main goal is to settle the estate of that person. So very good. We I've discussed a lot, it's just that it would probably if better if you have questions now, you should ask now, because after after the show, if you post a question, I cannot assure that it will be addressed, because yeah, I don't monitor it. So but anyway, if you do have any questions for me though, related to what I've discussed, you can go to you can find me at our website 𝘱𝘠𝘚𝑙𝑎w.com, and send me a message there if you want to, or if you have question related to what we discussed today. And yeah, so that is usapang of the record tayo ngayon. Kaya if you have question, you should post it now. And so I'll try my best to answer it in a few minutes na lang tayo. So anyway, thank you so much. But before we say goodbye tonight, I'd like to share with you some announcements. This actually, let's start with the first one. I mean, I think the most where we go. Yeah. So next week, if you are here in the Greater Houston region, we have the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce, Texas Greater Houston region is going to have our summer Biz Mix. It's a mixer, so we will do it at Pasayahan sa Nayon dito along Bel Air sa Vina Plaza. And that will be 6:30 p.m. August 18, Thursday next week. and so you'll see me there. And being as the chair of the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce Greater Houston Region. I am so proud of this project because truly we love to support our um, business owners and entrepreneurs and professionals here in the Greater Houston region. And of course, since Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Texas, yan, we have 5 regions now. So if you're a member here in Greater Houston, you are also a member of all the other 4 regions in San Antonio, in Dallas, in Austin, and also in the RGB, Rio Grande, yeah, and Corpus Christi area. Okay, and the other one that I'd like to share with you is the chamber is also going in partnership with One Philippines and all the sponsors down there. We are going to have our Fiesta Costa Texas again. After the pandemic, the last time we had it was 2019 before the pandemic, and now we're back. So this is another project ng Chamber of Commerce namin, So we have invited Miss Ai de las Alas, and we will have also our Miss Fiesta Costa Texas pageant. So if you are interested, come join us. Contact us. You can go to our Facebook page, the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce Greater Houston Region, or you can connect with me, and I'll help you or assist you, whatever it is that is related to Fiesta Costa Texas. This is what I do outside of my job as an attorney. I do community service, and it's fun. It's good. And the other thing that I'd like to share with you is the University of the Philippines University of the Philippines Association's Houston chapter. We have a gala coming up this October dito sa Houston Merit Sugar Land. So kung UPian kayo at nandito ka sa area, or you are a friend of a UP alumni like me, you are invited. We want to see you at the venue, at the event. Okay, so very very we have a lot of activities in store for you, and we would really want to connect with you. All right, and also we're excited to share with you our projects, how we are helping our scholars, how we are helping our kababayans. So join us sa gala natin, October 22nd, Saturday, 6 p.m. sa Houston Marriott Sugarland. Okay. At naming announcement, at marami pa talaga. So, but anyway, thank you so much sa lahat ng mga nanood at nakasama natin dito sa live show. Thank you to the audience and listeners of Usapang Off the Record, to the president of Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy na si 𝘱𝘢𝘰𝘐. Pagaling ka na. And of course, maraming salamat sa iyo. Ang Usapang Off the Record is brought to you by the Roof Chamber Radio Pinoy and 𝘬𝘠𝘠𝘍 Law Firm. Ayan. I'll see you all next week sa isa na namang Usapang Off the Record. This is Aileen. Have a great weekend, everyone. Make it worth it. Bye-bye.